Let me tell you a tale, a tragic tale, because not everything is kittens and rainbows. Sadly, there are people on the internet who cannot have their own opinion. They must either love something with all of their heart or hate it with hate and misery. These are people that think Star Wars Rogue One is either the perfect movie or the worst movie in the world. They think the new Ghostbusters is either the next coming or the worst film to ever exist. These people are a series of unfortunate comments. Oh, and welcome to the review.
Series of Unfortunate Events is the latest adaptation in Lemony Snicket's, famed book series. Movie in the past before, and I feel like in the minority. I actually kind of like the film. I think it's pretty good, actually. It doesn't stay faithful to the book series as much as people wanted it to, but I can kind of look past that. I can see it as just being like a good movie. My experiences with the book series itself. As a kid, I read all of them. I read every single one of the series of Unfortunate Events, but I haven't read them in like 10 years. Probably even more. Maybe like 11 or 12 years. 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, somewhere around there. Right before I got to middle school, I basically read all of the books, and that's when the movie came out in 2004. So I was like in 4th grade when that came out. So that pretty much shows how old I am. And I was excited for this series. I mean, like, Neil Patrick Harris is producing the show, he's the star, and it looked like he really put in a lot of care and love into it. So when it came out, I was pretty excited for it. And I still think it's a pretty good show. I'm actually looking forward to what they do with season 2, because season 1 first 4 books. And I liked the first 4 books, but I thought the series got better as it got into probably around the 6th book. I feel like, yeah, the 6th book. When they get to the elevator one is probably where I think the series really gets good. So I'm curious to see where they go with like the Vile Village and the Carnival one. The kids, I think all the kids are excellent. I think that they really portray their characters, and they really kind of tone into what the show and like what the book series is kind of about. The adults can't help them. They're all kind of dumb characters. They have to be able to thwart this evil person, Count Olaf. Violet is really good. Definitely is better than what Emily Browning did in the film. So I kind of like her character a little bit more, and I like Klaus a little bit more. The only thing I kind of feel like is with Sunny's character is because they do the subtitles in green, and it's kind of hard to read sometimes. So like if I'm not like directly in front of my television and I'm a little bit further back, it's kind of hard to read. And I don't know why they decided to do that in green and maybe not a different color, maybe like blue or something. But I guess because the show has so much gothic imagery, it would be kind of hard to tell that color from the rest of the screen's color. First, I was kind of a little hesitant on Neil Patrick Harris as Count Olaf, but then I realized that he gets to play so many different characters. Count Olaf is constantly changing into other people. He's essentially a terrible actor, and he tries to be these characters so that he can fool Mr. Poe or whoever is in the show with what kind of essentially like a Scooby-Doo essentially mystery that they're trying to solve, as he's going to play these different characters like a sea captain or Stefano, who's a reptile assistant. And I kind of like these. I actually kind of don't really like him as Count Olaf. I like him more as the characters that he's portraying. Really on par with Jim Carrey. I don't think like Jim Carrey really owned that role either. I think Neil Patrick Harris towards the end has now come into that role. So I think he's going to be a great Count Olaf as the show continues. But I will say for the first 3 or 4 episodes, you're kind of hesitant watching it because it does kind of feel a little bit weird. And I'll say like the theming of the show. Now that I'm an adult and I'm like into my 20s, it's kind of hard to watch because it is very, very much a kid show. It does feel like it could definitely be on like Nickelodeon if they're focusing on live action. It probably would fit pretty well right now. Like it would probably do really well in a Nickelodeon show. I really do like The Bad Beginning, and I like with the show is that they're able to basically capture every single thing, like all of the details. It's all pretty much there, and it feels so much more detailed than the film because the film only got maybe about 30 minutes for each book. While this one, they're able to almost get 2 hours, so they're able to flesh out characters. Like, they're able to flesh out Poe. Poe is basically like an idiot in the book, and he is in the film, but they're able to give him more scenes, and like he is more of a character now. This character, in my opinion, is probably Lemony Snicket, played by Patrick Warburton. He does an excellent job, and I just love all the scenes involving him. I think he is probably what I could probably just watch him. I wouldn't even need the rest of the show. I could just watch all the scenes involving him and him just narrate the whole thing, and I would have probably been happy. He does a really great job as Lemony Snicket, and I like that he's an actual character in this show. Like, he's doing things, trying to solve what happened to the Baudelaires. It's excellent. Now we go into kind of my negatives, and like my negatives, like I said, it is very childish. When I was reading as a kid, things just felt so much more dramatic. Like the wide window when the house is falling, and even in the film, it's presented as more of like a dramatic, it's life-threatening, like these kids could die. While in the show, it's kind of more for comedy, and it's more comical. They even had this goofy soundtrack that's kind of playing in the background that I really just didn't like. A couple characters that don't get added into the book series till like almost the very end, like probably around like the 10th or 11th book, and this secret society that doesn't get mentioned in the book series till probably like the middle of the series. So it's kind of weird to see them now here, and I actually don't like any of it. Yeah, I don't, this is the part of the show that I actually hate, and there is a twist that kind of like, it does make it better, but even those scenes leading up to that twist, I don't like any of those scenes. I think that they're bad. I don't like the actors that they got involved into the project. I don't like any of the things. If you know what I'm talking about, if you've seen at least the end of the first episode, they show two characters, and I don't like anything that they do. I don't feel like it needed to be in the show. I don't feel like that we needed to add this society so early. It just, I'm not trying to add any spoilers. I'm not saying who it is or like what the twist is. I'm just saying I don't like, you know who I'm talking about if you've seen the show. I don't like anything that they do in the show. I think it's dumb cutaway just to add more time. I feel like you could have filled that more time with like, it's fiction, so you could have added whatever you wanted. Like Monty's character, like they could have added another day before Count Olaf came to ruin everything, like where the kids are bonding with Monty, rather than show these characters. And I just didn't like any of that. I didn't feel like it needed to be there. It was really just kind of, they were fleshing out more of the society, I guess. But at this point, unless you're familiar with the book series and you've read them all, you have no idea what the hell they're even talking about anyway. So I didn't like any of it. I thought that was probably the worst part of the show, in my opinion. And I'm actually kind of curious now because they changed something so drastically from the book series that it actually is a major part in the Elevator one and in the Vile Village. And I'm just very curious to see like how they're going to do that now, because these characters are actually very important. I really like the Bad Beginning episode. I think the Reptile Room is probably my favorite. I like the comedy aspect, and I just like what they did with it. The changes in that one were actually probably for the better, except the last maybe like 10 minutes of that episode. I didn't like that one. I don't like the Wide Window at all. I actually like the film version much better. I felt like the film version of the Wide Window was very much more dramatic, and it wasn't played so much for comedy. And it just felt, what ends up happening to their aunt just felt so much more climactic than what ended up happening in the television show. And in the television show, it's not bad. It's not like, it's the same, it's the exact same fate, it's the exact same thing that ends up happening. Just the way that they play it off, it's the way that it's filmed, it's the way that the music goes. It just feels like much more for comedy and much more lighthearted, and that's the only thing I really don't like about this show, and makes it, for me, what's great. Like, I do like it, I don't hate it, I don't love it though, I just kind of like it. And, because everything that I imagined as a kid is just played more for comedy, it's more played for, which it is in the book series, but when you're reading it as a kid, it just feels so much more dramatic. It just feels like, because you are a kid, you really do feel what these children are going through. But now as an adult, it's just kind of comical and like, I don't know, it's just kind of dumb at times, and they really play it off that way. And then The Miserable Mill, I thought The Miserable Mill was actually better than the book. That's what I think it really came to fruition. I think that first part of The Miserable Mill is excellent, and I thought the plot twist when you find out like what's going actually on at the Miserable Mill and like what's happening with all the characters was excellent, and even better than they did in the book. So I'm curious, like, the changes that they're making are definitely for the better, except for like I said, I don't like the reveal at the end of episode 1, and I don't like what they continue to do throughout the show with them. It just wasn't for me, even with the twist that makes it better. I like the twist, I just don't like any of the scenes leading up to it. And they just play off for so much more comedy, and even with the characters that they got, I didn't really like it. But I do recommend A Series of Unfortunate Events. Watching Neil Patrick Harris play all these characters, and I think you will probably too. I'm gonna give A Series of Unfortunate Events, the Netflix TV show, a 7 out of 10. Like I said, I'm curious to see what they do with the rest of the show. There's going to be a season 2 and a season 3. To me, the book series got a lot better around the second part of what will be season 2 of the show. So, oh no, probably like right after the first 2 episodes, probably it'll be, because it's 2 episodes per book. Right when they get to the elevator one and we really start to see the secret society, when we get to the Vile Village and the carnival and the slippery slope, I think is when the series like really takes off and it becomes what I loved as a childhood. So season 2 will probably be excellent. And now that there's definitely going to be changes, they've changed the way that The Miserable Mill ends. So going into season 2, it's definitely going to, like, when we get to my favorite books, it's definitely going to be different. So I'm curious to see like what they do, and hopefully it is for the better. Remember, a review from Ryan J will brighten your day.